Thank you all so much. Thank you. I couldn't help but ponder at the presentation that was just made, because it speaks to not just what is happening in Indian country, in the halls of the Congress and the administrations over time in Washington, D.C., but it speaks to the possibilities that we have here in Alaska to make the kinds of changes that would allow, yes, even Alaska to influence Washington in the best of ways by the examples of our lives. Before I begin, I want to, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me this time. I've had the opportunity over the years to speak to AFN in various capacities and on various subjects, and I've never felt more comfortable than I do right now. My wife, Toni, is in the audience, a beautiful Athabascan woman who's been my soulmate for over 40 years. I have 3 grandchildren in the audience, and my son and daughter-in-law. I have other families watching on TV. You know, we are always on the journey of our lives, aren't we? I can recall when mine started. It began in my village of Yakutat. I don't know how I reacted or what I did to connect with my mother, this wonderful Tlingit lady at whose side I would sit when she sat around our kitchen table, dipping seagull eggs in seal oil and talking Tlingit to her friends and being happy and smiling. But I do know this, that as we look to our shared future, as yes, Alaska's native people, but also at our shared future as Alaskans, there is one thing that we hold powerfully dear, and that is that moment when, with a conscious effort, a child reaches out to connect with a parent and knows without question that he or she will receive unconditional love. I can't help but reflect and believe that it is at that moment that the kind of education that we pine for should begin. An education that begins with love, that begins with sharing, that begins with trust, that begins with respect. An education that should carry on throughout that individual's life until at the very end, he or she can close their eyes and say, I've led a good life. There may have been ups and downs, there may have been difficulty, but I also knew and know that I live in a society that values who I am, that respects me for the acceptance of responsibility that to make my life and hopefully the lives of others better. Those, I believe, strongly are shared values in all peoples. In the Alaska Native community, possibly we look at it a little bit differently because we believe in shared values. We believe in shared lives. We believe that when we are together, we are strong. Alaska's life began on two parallel paths in the paths of our lives. Our path went back millennia. Another path began and for a long time was separate from ours. And there was statehood, and there was ANCSA, and there was the blending of education, and there was the creation together of economic sharing among Alaska Natives and the rest of society. And our paths are beginning to merge, and that is a really good thing. When I think of where I began, it is in this place. As a young man of 23, I was at the first AFN gathering. We didn't call it a convention then. We didn't know what it would become. We only knew that we needed somehow to create unity amongst us in order to grasp the opportunity of the time. And the opportunity of the time led to the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. It led to the creation of corporations that are today amongst Alaska's giants. It led to leaders who today are among Alaska's giants. Along the way, we have seen the departure of many who were giants of their own time. Each of us in this hall can reflect not just on our own lives, but on the lives that influenced and guided those of our parents and those of our grandparents. The values, the sense of connection to a place that makes us who we are. We say that in the Native community with a powerful sense of certainty that we know who we are. And when we say it to one another, we know what it means. But I want to talk a little bit about who we are as Alaskans. I am so very proud to be an Alaskan Native, to know that I am a first Alaskan, but I also know that I am an Alaskan first, that it was this place this extraordinary land, this place that is really another country, that has the beauty and the resource wealth and all of the attributes that in any other place would make us a sovereign nation. Yet we are proud to be a state in the Union of United States. We are blessed with so much that we have already used such a small portion of to create a life for Alaskans that just 50 years ago we could not imagine. And the strength and the wealth and the beauty and the size and the richness of our state will stretch on into the future of our children and grandchildren and their children and their children. And we must always keep that continuity, that responsibility to the future clear in our minds. We are also a state, a country, a nation, with a very small population. 750,000 people is the size of a medium-sized city in other parts of our nation. Yet, we inhabit the largest landmass in our nation. It is for Alaska's native peoples a landmass that pulses and reverberates with our history and our traditions and our ties to land and our profound realization that this is from where we come, it is where we will always be, and when time might end, we will still be in this incredibly beautiful place, the cradle of our ancestors. And it is a place that we share with those who have come just yesterday, knowing that they desire to be Alaskans also, and that they, no matter how fragile it is at the moment in terms of their understanding and their comprehension, that they want to know it and they want it to be their home just as we do. And it is our value of sharing, and hopefully our shared value amongst all Alaskans of sharing, that will make them welcome and give them opportunity. You know, Alaska just celebrated 50 years of statehood. Another 50 years seems like some way away, but it is really not. In any event, in 100 years from 1959, Alaska will celebrate its centennial. And we, as I began, are all on a journey. We are a journey to that place and that time and beyond. But maybe to think just a little bit about the kind of Alaska we want when we celebrate our centennial might be worth reflecting on. A place in which the rest of the world will know when we come there for all of its beauty, for all of its resource wealth, for all that the place offers in terms of its immensity and its grandeur, that what is best about Alaska is its peoples. Peoples who value the best kind of education possible for their children, who can look back on 100 years of constant progress in making education responsive and relevant, meaningful, and yes, aspirational to every single Alaskan. An educational system that we will be able to look proudly up at all and say, it's the best in the land for us. One of the things about a nation and a place is that its university system reflects the overall society. The university system allows us to strengthen who we are as people in terms of study, in terms of education, in terms of research, in terms of analysis, in terms of looking over the horizon and asking questions and posing opportunity that no other institution is capable of doing. In Alaska, we have the University of Alaska system. We do not have a rich, vibrant, private university system. So therefore, and that hopefully will come over time. But at that centennial, we should be able to say proudly, we have the best university system in the world for Alaska. That it is a university system that helps us understand who we are as peoples, that creates knowledge and understanding, that removes fear, that removes misunderstanding, and brings us together as peoples in the best kind of way. That it is a system that says we can have, and we are building in Alaska, the best economy possible for Alaska. An economy in which a very unique array of corporations called ANCSA corporations are at 100 years the drivers of the entire Alaskan economy. And an economy that is diversified, that has been built not just with very large projects, but one job at a time, one entrepreneur at a time, one community at a time. It will be a place where the rest of the world will know it can come and seek answers and seek knowledge that affect the rest of the world in terms of climate change, in terms of knowledge of our earth and how it lives and breathes and changes. And Alaska will be a place that they will come to help make the rest of the world the best that they can be. Alaska will be a place where its governance is built around the notion of transparency, that's built around the notion that we have common and shared interests, that we respect government, that we know that government is us, that it reflects who we are as a people. And others will look to Alaska and say, they got it right. They work together, they share. They may disagree, but they know that the process of governance were undertaken in a way that Alaskans understand. And even though there is disagreement, they respect the processes of governance. It will be a place at 100 years that we take stock of all of these things and more. Not that they happened at that time, but that we as Alaskans built them over those 100 years. It will be a place in which public safety is built upon the notion of caring and civility and respect in the application of our laws. And where those involved in public safety know that they always have the resources to stand up for us and protect us when they must go in harm's way. It will be a place where our fishing game is still among the most priceless in the world, both in terms of bounty and beauty and constant renewal, and a vibrant and powerful segment of our economy. Alaska will be a place where those who look at the beauty of our land and know that it makes them richer and better and more comforted, knowing that there are places in this world that cherish the very wonder of the places in which we live, and know that we have been the best stewards in Alaska for them. It will be a place where the health of our peoples and their sense of security and their desire for safety will have been fully met. It will be a place where, as I began, a young child born at that time will be able to reach out and look up with unconditional love and know that it is also shared unconditionally, and that that life will be cherished by all of us, and we will use who we are as a society, who we are as an economy, who we are in terms of our values, as broad-based as they may be, to say to that child, this is a place that will give you the best opportunity in life of any place we know. Now that may sound Pollyannish to some. I've had some people tell me, Byron, you need to focus on the real tough issues of today, because without resolving those issues, you won't be able to do what we know we all, deep in our hearts, cherish for our peoples and this wonderful place, Alaska, we call home. But I say, every single day we must take responsibility. Every single day we must dream our dreams. Every single day we must take action to make those things we care about real, to make those things we wish for possible, to have in our eyes and in our minds a clear sense that what I've just described can be realized, and that there may come times when we do not have all of the revenue that we need, but that shouldn't stop us from working every single day to realize the best things in our lives. That doesn't mean that all of us together mustn't deal with the difficult things that face us every single day, both individually, as family, as communities, as a state. But it does mean that in totality of our lives, we dream big, we live to achieve those dreams, and we work at them individually and collectively together every single day. That is hugely important for who and where we are as an Alaska Native community. It is what will bring us together as Alaskans and make our place the best place in the world. Thank you.